Okay, so one thing was for sure was that I was not the brightest kid growing up. Now, I say that because I'm not gonna lie, there's some things I've done in my past that I'm not proud of, but also on top of that, there's just a lot of things that I haven't explained or experienced until... Well, this channel is all about my experiences, so it kind of makes sense where I'm getting at here. But honestly, just this story was really bizarre, and it made me realize what it really meant to be bricked up. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another crazy but also super embarrassing story that I hope none of you guys do. Like, a lot of the things I say on this channel, no one should be doing, okay? Like, no one should be doing, you know, the Devil's Tango with their babysitter. No one should be doing the Devil's Tango on a plane. No one should be doing anything of sorts. This channel is purely to tell you my experience of why it's an ultimate failure. But going on, this story all starts off back when I was in grade 6. Yeah, it was my grade 6 year of middle school. And I'm not gonna lie, in middle school, I wasn't the brightest, okay? I was a very normal kid to the point where, I'm not gonna lie, the only thing I relied on in life was video games. Video games was like my scapegoat for anything. When I was upset, play video games. If a girl broke my heart, play video games. If the girl still breaks my heart, play more video games. Like, it was the resolution to everything that I wanted to do in life. And even still to this day, it's still playing video games. Anyways, I remember one day, it was early in the morning and I just woke up. I was getting ready for school, but one thing I noticed was that I had no clean laundry. Like, for some reason, my mom didn't take out my laundry that day, which I'm not blaming my mom, but at the same time, like, I was in grade 6. My mom does everything for me still at this time. So I'm like really confused, and I'm like looking through my drawers and everything for a pair of underwear. I literally did not have many clothes to go through. So I remember I ended up going to my closet and I managed to pull out a hoodie. I ended up wearing sweatpants, and when it came to socks, I ended up finding 2 different pairs of socks, so that usually worked. And last but not least, my underwear. I did not have any still. I was really upset, and it got to the point where I ended up yelling at my mom saying, Mom, do you know where my underwear is? Baba, you don't have any. You didn't give me your laundry. What do you mean give you my laundry? It's in the same part of my room, like, ever since I was born. This was a true statement, by the way. I'm not capping about that. It was in the same place. I don't know why she didn't take it. Anyways, from there, my mom ends up saying just like, you know, just use a different pair, or just use the pair that you had last night on. But that's disgusting. I don't believe in using the same underwear after you take a shower. I just refuse to believe it. So I remember I ended up basically just not putting on underwear. I decided to go commando this day, which wasn't the smartest thing ever. But at the same time, I thought there would be no worry and no one's gonna know anyway, because I'm not gonna lie, I pulled this stunt before. Was it a good idea? No. Did I think it was gonna work? Yes. But this is where everything kind of just falls flat, because I remember my mom ends up driving me to school, and when I get to school, I remember with my backpack, I start heading over to my locker. When I get to my locker, I ended up seeing my crush also walking towards her locker, which was a good thing because her locker was right beside mine. And yes, I did make sure to do this because, like, you know, I had a massive crush on her. But aside from that, I remember I was like kind of like in panic mode, because I'm like, okay, say hi to her, but in a cool way, but don't make it awkward. I remember I like basically like, you know, open my locker, you know, throw my bag in there as if like I'm the cool kid. And then that's when this girl looks at me as she's opening up her locker and says, "Oh, hey, Bubba." Hey, what's good? I end up closing my locker shut so she can see my full-on failure of an outfit, I guess. And she looks down and she looks at me, and I'm like staring like right into her eyes, just totally like amazed by her aura and bliss and just everything that, you know, she exists for, which I thought was for me at the time, but she exists for apparently another dude, which still sucks to this day, but you know, not the point. Anyways, I remember she like stares at me, and then she ends up looking down, and I thought she was just looking at my silly outfit. And that's when I say, "Oh yeah, don't mind the fit." I couldn't get anything good on. Bubba, what's in your pocket? What do you mean what's in my pocket? I mean, like, what's in your pocket? Like, that's huge. I end up looking down and I'm like, my pocket? And that's when I realized the thing she was looking at was not in my pocket. It was literally my eggplant. So at this moment, I'm like, oh, it's nothing. And I turn around as quickly as I could. She ends up looking at me and she's like, "Bubba, is everything all right?" Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just swelling up a little bit." "You're swelling? Oh my goodness, this is not good." "What do you mean it's not good?" "Here, follow me." So me being totally bricked up, I remember this girl ends up grabbing my elbow, and she starts dragging me down to the nurse's office. Now, if you guys don't know, in our middle school, we had a 24-hour nurse. She was there all times, like when we needed her throughout the school day. Even though it's not 24 hours, I don't know why we called her the 24-hour nurse, but still, she was there all throughout the day. And I remember this girl, that was my crush, ends up dragging me down all the way to her office and sits me down and says, "Bubba's swelling in his pants." At this moment, the school nurse looks over and she's like, "Oh, Bubba, are you okay? Is everything all right?" Yeah, no, I just, you know, I think I might have like an infection or something. Trying to play a along with what this girl was saying because like I did not want her to know that I got bricked up because of her, you know, like I don't know, it's just super awkward. So this girl, she ends up like basically saying like, oh, like can you help him, like he's not doing well. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. Can you please leave the room so I can talk to Bubba? Yeah, okay. My crush ends up leaving the office and my nurse ends up closing the door shut, and she looks at me and she's like, okay, stand up, Bubba. I end up standing up thinking that she knew what was the problem. You know what I mean? Like I thought she just automatically knew like, oh, this kid's bricked up. It's awkward for him. So he's making up a lie about, you know, swelling happening down there. Yeah, no, that was not the case at all. Because the next thing she said right after was, all right, Bubba, take off your pants. What? You heard me. Take off your pants. At that moment, I'm like, all right. Cool, I guess. So I take off my pants, and that's when this nurse ends up like, I guess, inspecting my eggplant, making sure everything was all right, to the point where I'm not gonna lie, we basically did the devil's tango. I'm not gonna get into detail because obviously I'm not here to tell you the birds and the bees. If anything, I'm just gonna say devil's tango, and you guys can imagine the rest with your gross, crazy imaginations. But yeah, no, that's basically what happened afterwards. And one thing led to another. I remember like I was just like really confused because after I finish, I look at her and I'm like, was this supposed to happen? Bubba, just don't tell anyone what happened here today. And if this ever happens again, you're always free to come to my office. At this moment, my mind was like, I guess blown was the best word for it. Cause like, I just did the devil's tango with my school nurse. Like, what am I supposed to do there? Anyways, yeah. So things get really awkward between me and her. And I end up just leaving the office. And when I go back up to like, you know, my classroom, I wasn't bricked anymore. I was like totally like, you know, just like, I guess turned off by everything that was going on. And when I walk inside my classroom, I end up sitting down for my next class because I was in the nurse's office for an entire class that I skipped out on. And when I go back in there, automatically all the guys in my class just start looking at me as if I was like some sort of weirdo. And I'm like looking around, and then when I sit down at my desk, my buddy that sat beside me looks over and says, yo, Bubba, is it true you were bricked with her? What do you mean I was bricked? Bubba, your crush literally went around the school saying that you were bricked, bro. Wait, what? Really? She said I was bricked? Well, no, she didn't say bricked. She said that you had swelling in your pants. At this moment, I remember slapping my forehead and just putting my head down on my desk in awkwardness, just not wanting to live another day. Because, like, who goes around saying that? Like, if someone's swelling in their pants, even if it's just getting bricked, you don't mention it to other people, especially if it's me. Oh, no, it was really traumatizing. And I remember throughout the, like, entire school day, everyone kept making fun of my brickedness. And since I was wearing sweatpants and going commando, it was more obvious to see my eggplant print, like, just hanging out. And, like, you know, in middle school, there's a bunch of jokes that get made, and like, I don't know, overall, it was just really sucky and just really traumatizing, and I think that's where I'm gonna end. Okay, so one thing I never understood is why we have school nurses. Like, don't get me wrong, I get that in high school, things can get a little bit rowdy sometimes, but to have a school nurse, like, really? And I already know that I already did a nurse story, and you guys loved it, but the reason I'm recording this one is, well, recently I went back to my old high school, and my buddy remembered this story that I had, and honestly, I forgot to tell it to you guys, so this one goes out to him. Thank you for reminding me about this when this happened. And honestly, this is gonna be insane. But before we do get into the story, make sure to do leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Seriously, I tell a lot of crazy stories just like this one, so make sure you guys do that. And on top of that, not to mention, I'm also live on Bubba Gaming. So if you guys want to watch me live playing video games and at the same time telling crazy stories like this one, make sure you guys subscribe to that channel and also follow me on Instagram because I'm the hottest guy on the planet. Now, anyways, guys, let's get straight into this crazy story. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba and welcome back to another insane story. So this story takes place, funny enough, back when I was in grade 9. So reminder, in grade 9, I wasn't much of a lady slayer, but I knew my way to talk around the ladies, if you know what I mean. Like, I knew like how to talk to them, interact with them, listen to them. But in terms of pulling them with my looks, well, I wasn't that good at it, to be honest. Because, well, I was still hitting puberty. But anyways, I remember when you go into grade 9 in high school, there's this thing called the grade 9 shots. And basically, when you're in grade 9, you have to get like this needle shot of some sort. I don't know what it's for, really. I think it's for some kind of flu or something where you guys have to get a needle shot to make sure throughout the school you don't get crazily sick. I remember you get one back in middle school as well, but honestly, it's really odd. I don't know much about it. Maybe you guys can search it up and tell me, but other than that, I had to get a shot. And me, I hate needles. Number one thing I hate is needles. If I can find any way to refuse getting a needle shot, I will. Like, especially during the pandemic when everyone was getting needle shots, dude. Like, I hated it. Like, I didn't want to go. But anyways, I remember going on with the story. I remember the day of when we had to get that needle shot. My mom was telling me, Bubba, you have to go to school school now. Please get ready. And I really did not want to go. I knew the shots were scheduled for that day, and I just really wanted to find a way to ditch school and stay at home and just, you know, not be there. Because I knew my parents scheduled me to go get a shot on that day. But it ended up the next morning, my mom telling me that I had to go. I got ready and I went to school. So my initial plan in the first block when I got to school was to skip. I wanted to skip basically the entire day, go to the mall and just hide out. But then I remember as I was walking down the hallway, basically feared and being terrified of what was going on, my friend runs up to me saying, "Yo, bro, did you see the school nurse, bro? Holy cow, dude, she's fine as hell." What is what I told him? You like the school nurse? Isn't she giving shots out today? Yeah, dude, but she's hot as hell. Trust me, man. Like, you gotta see her, bro. Like, I don't know who it is, but damn, she fine. I wish I got another shot. In my head, I'm thinking, like, what in the world? Are you serious? People are enjoying getting their shots because it was from someone hot? So I need to go investigate for myself. So I remember I ended up walking with my buddy down the hallway where the shots were happening at. And basically, when I was walking down it, I looked over to my side and I saw her, the school nurse. Except she wasn't our usual school nurse, which was an old cranky lady that no one liked. It was a school nurse that came in from a hospital that looked really attractive. Like, oh my goodness, dude. I looked at her and almost cried. She was some hot brunette, amazing looking girl with like blue eyes, and oh my goodness, like it was like never before seen. Honestly, I thought I was watching like a Disney movie at this point looking at her. So I remember I kind of like peeked through the door and saw her giving shots to other kids, and I was so happy. I knew, okay, you know what? Maybe getting a shot won't be half bad. Anyways, I remember the day went on, and every time like I would like go to my next class, I would see so many kids crying in the hallway because everyone hates getting shots. And I remember out of nowhere, I saw a girl walk up to me and she's like, "I hate this. Like, I had to get 2 shots. Like, this sucks. I seriously hate it." And she kept walking down the hallway. I don't know why girls have to get 2 shots. As for the guys, just had to get 1. I don't know. I guess we're just better like that. But going on with the story, I remember basically it was lunchtime. And in lunchtime on this specific day, they're giving out cheesecake. And I love cheesecake. So I remember I ran out of the hallway once the bell rang and basically started sprinting for the cafeteria so I can get in line for the cheesecake before they ran out. And when I was running down the hallway, I remember I accidentally ran into the school nurse. I remember I basically just crashed into her and I fell down and she fell down as well. And I felt bad because once I looked at her, my eyes glue. I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you there." And then she looked at me saying,
"Oh, hi. I don't believe we met."
"Oh, hey, sorry. I didn't mean to run into you. Cheesecake in the cafeteria. You know what it is."
"Oh, yeah. I was just headed down there. Can you show me where it is?"
I remember when she asked me to show her where the cafeteria was, I was super excited. Like, I was like, no way, the school nurse is gonna walk with me down my own school's hallway. Even though she was giving out shots, I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, I remember I walked right beside her, showing her where the cafeteria was, and as I was walking with her, I was basically flirting with her throughout the whole thing. Like I said earlier, even though I was in grade 9 and still not the most attractive looking kid, I can easily say that I knew my way around the ladies. So I was talking to her about, you know, her career, what she likes, what's her future plans, basically anything to get her to keep talking instead of me. Because as a grade 9, my life wasn't that interesting. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember once I sat down with her and we both got cheesecake, we just started talking more and more, and I called her cute a couple times and stuff. Basically, I spit my W Riz, and from there, I remember she told me,
"So, what block are you supposed to get your shots at, Bubba?"
"Oh, I'm supposed to get it in block 3, is what I told her. And I knew at that point, she definitely wanted to know when I was supposed to get my shots, because right after I said that, I remember she ended up saying,
"Okay, I'll make sure I do your shots."
When she said that, I knew it was gonna go down. So I remember I ended up walking with her all the way to the part of the school where she was giving needle shots at. And I remember I let her go and I ended up going to my next class. But then block 3 came around. Now in block 3, I remember everyone in my class was shaking and a lot of people were nervous and a lot of kids actually weren't in the classroom because they were all skipping. But me, I knew I had to get these shots. So I remember I ended up lining up and I ended up walking down the stairs with the whole class lined up behind them. And basically we were laying on this wall, basically waiting for each one of us to go inside the classroom, get our shots that they were giving it in, and walking out. As I was waiting though, I remember as I was like sitting there for like 5 minutes or so, the nurse, the hot one, ends up running up to me and looks at me saying,
"Bubba, I'll take you in now."
"Wait, what? But there's so many people in front of me," is what I said afterwards. And then she said,
"We're going into a different classroom."
When she said that, oh my goodness, I knew where it was gonna go, and I think you guys do too. Basically, me and her, we ended up going to a different classroom. This was actually pretty far away from where all the shots were originally supposed to happen. Anyways, we got really close as she was giving my shot, and when she did, I remember right after when she pulled the needle out, she ended up kissing me. Literally, this nurse kissed me. Warning, I think she was like 22, so she wasn't that old, but I was in grade 9, and I think when you're in grade 9, you're only like 14 to 15, and I knew I was 15 at this time, but you know what, it wasn't that bad. Anyways, me and her, we ended up getting closer and closer, and we ended up doing the Devil's Tango in the classroom, literally on the school chair that I was in. And then I remember as we were just doing that, basically, I remember a teacher ends up walking in the classroom because apparently someone told the teacher that the nurse was in this classroom specifically. And he walked in saying, "What are you doing? Get off that student." And let's just say from there, I remember the nurse kept freaking out, saying that it wasn't her fault. But in reality, I'm gonna say it was, because I don't really feel like getting in trouble. And all I'm gonna say was that it was actually pretty cool because she was hot. But at the end of the day, I mean, it was pretty bad idea to do. I don't know. I guess this nurse just liked me anyway. Okay. I know you guys read the title of this video, and honestly, you guys are probably super excited and want to know what the heck happened. Well, I'm gonna tell you guys everything and every little detail about it. But before I do get into this story, I just want to mention, if you guys haven't left a like and subscribe already, then you guys are really missing out. On this channel, I tell a bunch of crazy stories just like this one, and I don't think you guys want to miss out. Seriously, just click the like button and subscribe. And did I mention that I am currently live on Twitch right now? So click the link down in the description below and just come hang out and hear crazy stories just like this one. Also, not to mention, did you guys know that on the Bubba channel, I am literally doing IRL content? Because recently I had my Fortnite girlfriend move in with me, and let's just say things are going a little crazy. Like literally crazy. So yeah, make sure you guys go check out that content. Links down in the description below as well. Other than that, let's get straight into this crazy story. All right, yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So this one I really did not want to tell because I actually needed, funny enough, my nurse's permission to tell this story. But if you guys don't know, basically I've had the same nurse, or aka same doctor slash nurse kind of lady, for almost like 10 years. And I remember back when I was a kid, I won't lie, she was really attractive. Like, she was hot. Anyways, going on though, basically I remember this all takes place back when I was in grade 6. In grade 6, that's when, like, you know, middle school happens and you kind of start to hit puberty, but you're at the same time kind of growing, and you know, you start kind of just forming emotions and hormones start acting up. I don't know how to explain it, but you guys know what I mean. Anyways, I remember back when I was in grade 6, there was a week where I was really sick. And by really sick, I mean like puking and dying sick. It was one of the worst things ever, and I literally remember how I was always like literally sitting on my bed all curled up in a ball and holding my stomach as hard as I can. Like, I think we all know that feeling, and it literally sucks. But going on though, I remember I was having that feeling. My mom would always walk in saying, "Baba, let me take you to the doctor. You shouldn't be laying in bed like that. Please, let me take you to the doctor, Baba." And me, I would always just be laying there going, "No, I don't want to go to the doctor. Ew, the doctor sucks." Yeah, I would literally say that. And instead, I would always just kind of like start playing video games and stuff. But then I remember it got to the point where I literally missed like basically a week of school, and my mom was pissed. And by pissed, I mean she was not happy that I was missing school just because I was sick. So I remember my mom literally got me up and dragged me to the doctors. Like, literally, she said, "If you don't get up and go to the doctor, I'm unplugging your Xbox." Yeah, no, if you touch my Xbox or any of my gaming systems, bro, I'll do anything. Like, literally anything. Okay, not anything, but you guys know what I mean. So I remember literally I got up, I got dressed, I basically went to the doctors, and when I was with her, I remember I was holding her hand and walking into the place. When I got there, I remember I did feel sick and I did not want to be there, but it sucked. It really sucked knowing I got to the doctors. But then out of nowhere, I remember as we're sitting waiting in the waiting room, I go look at this wall, which I had like all the doctors basically like all in line, kind of like a class photo somewhat. And I saw this really hot doctor on there. And this doctor, she looked like hot, dude. Like, she was immaculate. But funny enough, actually, I'm not gonna lie. I remember a doctor came by and walked right past me as I was standing there looking at the photo. And she basically looked at me and said, "Oh, like, which doctor are you looking at?" I told her, you know, which one I was looking at, and said like, "Oh, she's like really pretty." And the doctor literally said, "Oh, yeah, no, she's not a doctor. She's a nurse, but she's really good. And she might become a doctor one day." I remember I looked at her and I'm like, nice. You know, as if like I knew what the heck she was talking about. In reality, I was just kind of looking at the doctor. Because I won't lie, guys. Like, she was hot, okay? Like, she was like really nice cherries and everything. And like, you know, there was a peach on the line. Like, she looked good, okay, chat? Like, I'm not trying to be weird and stuff, but you guys know what I mean. So basically, I remember from there, I was kind of just like, you know, staring that down. And then my mom basically grabbed me by my shoulder and said, "Come back, sit down in the waiting room." And we went and sat down. When we sat down back in the waiting room, I remember we kept waiting. And then eventually my name was called. "Mr. Baba, we could come see you now." Yeah, I don't know. It just sucked. Knowing my name got called, I was nervous. I remember I was shaking and sweating, and I remember I basically went to the table and laid down and basically waited for the doctor to come in. And after me and my mom talked for like 10 minutes yelling at each other that this was a really dumb idea to go to the doctors, the door opened. And when the door opened, I remember I turned my head to look at the doctor entering into the room, and it was her. The hottest damn nurse literally entered my room. Out of all the nurses nurses that could enter the room. It was literally that nurse, the hottest nurse in the damn hospital. Like, holy cow. I remember I looked at her and I opened my eyes wide. I'm like, hi, in the most weirdest way ever. Like, by the way, like, I was really awkward. And she looks at me and smiles, and like, I'm not gonna lie, like, her nurse's outfit was like probably 2 sizes too small, because like, damn, she got some. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic, but basically she came up close to me and started like, you know, being like, oh, like, let me like check your heartbeat and all this stuff. And she was being like really, really dope. Like, oh my god, dude, like, it was a sight for sore eyes, you know what I mean? And I remember my mom, she was kind of like looking at me because she was kind of like weirded out by how my emotion changed so quickly from being scared to now literally look like I'm in this GTA strip club. Like, it made no sense to her. So I remember she stood up and she's like, are you the only doctor in the building? And then she said, oh, no, ma'am. I'm literally the doctor that is based on alphabetical codex, and basically I am your son's nurse. Damn, son, the doctor came in right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was hyped, dude. Like, I'm sorry to break it to you guys. Like, knowing that in my alphabetical codex, I get this woman's name, have mercy. I started loving the hospital. I'm not gonna lie. I fell in love with the hospital. And I remember it got to a point where, like, you know, she was basically asking me all these questions and stuff. And I remember my mom was kind of annoyed that this girl was so attractive, and yet I was getting the good doctor, because she wanted me to, you know, actually have a doctor. I don't know. I'm being confused by saying nurse and doctor, but you guys know what I mean, right? Okay, anyways, going on with the story. I remember it got to the point where basically my mom stood up and said, okay, so like, when is the actual doctor coming? Because I know you're a nurse. And the doctor, aka nurse, turned around and said, well, actually, funny enough, I do have my PhD, but I keep a nurse's role in the hospital so I can, you know, keep working with people faster and a faster rate, whatever that means. And then I remember she turned her head, her hair in a ponytail, flicking around, and it was the most beautiful thing ever, because she opened her eyes, looked directly at me and said, aren't you charming? Have mercy. Okay. And now I think you guys know where this is going, and I think I'm gonna say this part because this was really funny. I won't lie to you guys. So basically, the nurse basically does this one checkup that she has to do, where she basically puts her hand on my eggplant. Okay. And I remember basically she asked my mom to leave my room, and basically she, you know, she left the room, and basically she literally made me take down my, and you know, basically she did the checkup. Okay. And the really awkward part was that when she put her hand down there, I'm not gonna lie, your boy was staring at the wrong thing at the wrong time, and let's just say I kind of had like a massive eggplant, because it was more massive than it already was. And yeah, your boy got bricked. Okay, your boy got bricked up. I don't know how else to explain it. And basically the nurse saw that, and she kind of like smiled, and she kind of like grabbed it in a way. I thought it was part of the procedure, but I guess not now that I'm older. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, like, we did that part, and then things got really awkward, and I remember I'm like, are you supposed to do that? And then she looked at me and smiled, and she's like, and then after that she ended up, you know, telling me to put on my pants again. And then my mom walked in, and yeah, long story short, yeah, my mom walked in, I ended up going home, and let's just say I need to figure out a way to go see that doctor again, because there's no way I'm not gonna go see that nurse slash doctor again. So long story short, I went to go see the nurse again, and basically the next time I went to go see that nurse, yeah, let's just say something more intriguing happened. Anyways, guys, that's basically it for the first part of the story. Sorry, the story's getting way too long, and I need to cut it short, but basically make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe if you guys do want the next part. And on top of that, if you guys really want to hear the next part, I'll probably be saying it live on Twitch. So make sure you guys click in the description down below and join me live. And other than that, like I always say, follow for more embarrassing stories. All right, peace out, guys.